October 1st, Cage Warriors 128, part 2 of a 3-piece trilogy. We have the main event is an interim featherweight title fight between Paul Hughes and Morgan Charrière. So the reason it's an interim title fight is because Morgan Charrière was meant to face off against Jordan Vucenic in the split decision to turn over the split decision loss he had previously had. So it was meant to be a rematch. He has now fallen injured. In steps Paul Hughes for a very good opportunity here. Now, a lot of people do think Morgan never lost that fight. I personally had it down as Morgan winning that first fight with Jordan. Only fight. They've only had one fight. But no doubt down the line they will meet again. Jordan did a lot of things really good in that fight, and Morgan, they were very similar. They had a lot of stalemates in the stand-up. It was speed and technicality almost with Jordan, and it was power and the grappling more side with Charriere. Brilliant fight nonetheless, and you can't say it's a robbery or anything like that. Happens, split decision, it's subjective, it's opinions, and that's one. So Morgan wants that real title back. He doesn't care about the interim or anything like that, but he's stepping up against a real contender here in Paul Hughes, and mate, Paul Hughes is legit. Now, Paul Hughes also has a split decision loss to Jordan Vucenic, which is crazy. Jordan Vucenic, I think the last 3 wins of his career are all split decisions, so he's getting by these top guys. He's just getting the better side of the deals, in my opinion. So they're all very even level here. Paul Hughes has a nice record at the moment of 7 wins, 1 loss. That 1 loss in professional fighting, obviously coming to Jordan Vucenic. His last win out was against James Hendon, who is also, I think he went into that fight as like 5-0. So both 1 loss to no losses, both up and comers, real contenders. Cage Warriors doing matchmaking brilliantly again, and James Hendon was, the real dominant bruiser kind of guy, was stalking him every step of the way, and Paul was using brilliant footwork, and he caught him and dropped him in the early rounds as well. And if it weren't for James Hendon just being an absolute animal and lasting it, and toughing that out, grabbing a leg and just driving him in and making it look like the punch didn't even hurt him, like the recovery time in that shot, if you go back and watch it, if you haven't seen that fight, guys, go and watch it. It's a brilliant fight. James just gets up like nothing happened, back at it, and Paul keeps going. There's no delay in any of his striking. His striking has really come a long way from his early fights to the James Hendon fight. The lateral movement he uses, and it's a lot of defensive cage work, especially in that Hendon fight. I'm going to refer to that one as it's the last fight we saw, and it's the most improved Paul Hughes I've seen against a real up-and-comer. And they're both up-and-comers, and that shows how good he is. You think he's got a head kick against Panada, he's got a rear naked choke against Aiden Stephen. He's got the lot, to be honest, and he's an all-round mixed martial artist. He can even go the distance, as he's shown. His gas tank is there. His technicality is brilliant to watch, but he's up against a real master here in someone that's got so much experience in Morgan. Morgan Charrière has so much experience at this level, and it's 16-8-1. He's got 25 pro fights against someone that's got 7 pro fights. That, against Vucenic, I thought that showed, and it just shows the level of these guys with 7-8 pro fights. They're undefeated, they've got 1, maybe 2 losses, and they're competing with these people that have over 25 pro fights. It's insane. That's a lot of fights to have this early on in your career. If you don't know who Morgan Charrière is, he's young, he's in his mid-20s, and he's already got this sort of level. He's already got that diversity, the all-round mixed martial art package. He's not, you wouldn't say, oh, he's a striker. You wouldn't say, oh, he is a mixed martial artist. And all these young crop of talent, they all have power, they all have movement. The speed of these guys, because they're so young, and at this featherweight division as well, their gas tanks are so strong, and they're training at the top level. All these top gyms, you've got SBG in Ireland, you've got Hardy Warhead in the Midlands in England. You've got so many different places that you can train now. Morgan, for me, is a giant featherweight, and the power, the speed, pace and power of his shots completely might overwhelm Paul, but the speed of Paul's movement is going to be a big factor here. I think the low leg kick that he demonstrated against James Hendon could really slow Morgan down in this fight. I think Morgan's going to really want to try and bull rush his way in. A lot of head movement, a lot of feints. He's going to get in close, and he's going to want to tag him with one of those big, powerful shots, similar to the way he finished Dean Truman. When he was against Dean Truman, he went for a ground game. He went for a ground game against Dean Truman. Dean Truman is, again, an overall mixed martial artist. He's not a complete striker over a grappler. He's everything. He's an elite level fighter at this level. Morgan Charrière shut him down, and he's so impressive when you watch the way he moves and the power he can make you stutter so easily, because it's just that one shot at this weight class and he can turn your lights off. And that's what Paul has to look at for me. It's not just going to be about the one shot. It's everything. It's the power of the shot. It's the speed of the shot. It's the feints he's going to throw. And Paul has to be on his game for this. I can see Morgan shutting Paul down very quickly if Paul isn't prepared for the experience and the grindiness. But that's just naivety on a fan's point of view. Paul Hughes is ready for this. He has taken this with both hands, this opportunity. He showed it against all the people he's beaten. The split decision to Vucenic. Vucenic was beat Morgan Charrière. Now, MMA maths doesn't work typically, but that will show you where one level is for these guys. They are all on the same platform to me. There's no doubt you're going to see either these guys, you know, they're going to be in one championship, Bellator or UFC, a higher promotion than necessarily Cage Warriors is. No doubt, most likely the UFC is the avenue, and they'll both be a major success there for me. I think they're already at that level, but can they prove it? Now, as a prediction, I'm going to go with Paul Hughes on this one. I think Paul Hughes' movement and the low calf kick and that jab is going to be money all night. I think if he can keep Morgan away from him and away from that power shot, I do think he could land. He could get him down to the distance, and I think it would be a decision win for him. But even that, Paul could turn his lights off. You see what he did to James Hendon. That one shot is there. He's got the speed and the technique of him, very McGregor-esque with the lean back power shot in. I think Paul Hughes could do this. I like sitting on the fence on these because one day I hope to have these people on here, and I don't want to slag them off too much. You know, I'm not them, and these guys are crazy good. What do you guys reckon is going to happen in this? Morgan or Paul? Who have you got? Nice to do a Cage Warriors one. We're going to do a lot more Cage Warriors ones. Let me know, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Like the video if you have enjoyed it, guys. Share it around, and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers, guys.